Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. It is me, it is I, that is you, if you will subscribe. It's your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and 43-year-old professional wrestler, Zack. Primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, like always, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. And Paul, welcome to the podcast. It seems like it's been too damn long.
Right. We were just talking about this, how it was this day 1 week ago where we recorded our last podcast, and very, very infrequently do we go for an entire week without talking. So, yeah, this is like, I was like, oh, when is the next podcast even coming out? It was already edited and ready to go on like a Tuesday, and it was going to be dropping on Friday or something. So it just felt like forever. But a good question that I have for you is, this is what always, it's always a confusing subject, is the when you're dating someone, at what point do you start celebrating stuff, milestones, if you will? So I was just thinking, like, we started this podcast January of this year, and now we are stepping into July. So now we've hit our 6-month anniversary, and for me, that's kind of when I think, all right, so that's when you can say, you've done something for a decent amount of time, when you can say it's been 6 months. But I always think it's funny. It's like, we're celebrating our 3-week anniversary. It's like, okay. So, right. Big fucking deal, right? So, my wife and I are creeping up on 24 years of marriage. So, it's one of those things. It's like, how, when do you celebrate those milestones? And like, so it was exciting to know, like, we haven't talked, we haven't done a podcast in the month of July. We haven't recorded one. We've had a couple air in the month of July, and I see we're recording episode 63 right now. So obviously we have 40 something episodes left before we get to the technically the end of the year. So as much as I say, oh, we're 6 months in, we're halfway to a year, we've recorded far more than a half a year's worth of podcasts. So on the downside of the year, making our way, man. So exciting that we've gone this far. We talked about from the beginning, like, we need to be the little engine that could, man. We just need to keep fucking just chugging along here, man. So hopefully that's what we'll continue to do, man. And we'll keep spreading this content for people to hopefully be helpful and not be too hurtful.
Well, 63 episodes. That's great. I never even look at the episode that we're on, and they're going to go back one day. And I always say that because they're going to go back one day, and they're going to hear some amazing shit, man. Just some good advice that you would give people to help them out. And that's what it's for. We talk about it all the time. This is not for us. This is to help other people. And then I realized, no, this is for us, because I have grown, not just as somebody sitting here looking into my phone as this thing has progressed. I have grown as a coach, a trainer. I have grown as a promoter. I have grown in my booking. I've just grown in my own wrestling style, because we talk about this stuff and we evaluate it. And when I go out here now, it's really slowed my brain down. And where I used to think, 63 episodes, the person I was 63 episodes ago, shit, the guy I was last episode, every single day, every single weekend, I'm learning more and more, not just about myself and life. I keep learning more about this great business we're in. And that's what I always say is what attracts me to professional wrestling. What attracts me is here I am heading into my 26th year of this thing, and I keep learning. And that's this beautiful appeal of this physical improv that we do out there is you just never keep learning. And I'm pretty sure anybody that's been in the business for a while, any of these guys around here, it keeps going. Piper called it a disease, and I don't think it's a disease. I think it's something we love and we're passionate about. And you keep learning, man. You never stop.
Absolutely, man. It's um yeah, man. I'm thinking about different guys that we've seen that have been around for a long, long time, and their contributions to the business, and uh, are we all on that same path? Are we all um, trying to further the business, or are some of us trying to hold it back? Like what is our motives here? Like, are we are we trying to make this thing better? A lot of people say, leave it better than you found it, right? You hear that in a bunch of different situations. It reminds me of this past week. It was just a lot of travel for me and staying a bunch of different places. We traveled down to San Diego, stayed at a buddy's house, then we went to his cabin up in the Lake Tahoe area, and it's just like that was the constant reminder. It's like somebody's doing you a favor, or somebody's doing uh, something for you, and it's like let's try to kind of repay that favor, and let's leave it better than you found it, right? You stay at someone's house, you strip the bed down, you throw the sheets in the washing machine, um, you make sure all the linens are cleaned up, right? Throw the towels in the washing machine, things like that, right? Somebody lets you borrow their place, you vacuum, and you clean the dishes and stuff like that, and it's in an effort to try to leave it better than you found it. So and I feel like that's kind of the path that we're on. We're trying to do that, right? We're trying to the things that we've been given from the people that taught us this business and that mentored us and trained us and things like that. You look at it and you go, man, like all these great things, like what type of legacy am I going to leave? When people look back, are they going to go, man, that guy was good for the business? Or is it going to be the opposite? Man, that guy just came in and tore shit down, and just left it shittier than they found it. So I think that's kind of the constant struggle, right? You wanna do good, and you want to leave it better than you found it. So I think that's kind of something that I focus on as well.
Well, I look at this business. I heard not heard, but I was reading like Shawn Michaels was talking about Chris Benoit. And I always love seeing these quotes pop up about the business and everything. And he said, man, that guy was 24/7 wrestling. There was no separation from his personal life and who he was in the business. It was all business, right? And I find in this stage of my life that I have a balance, and I enjoy like there's a lot of peacetime that doesn't involve wrestling, but wrestling is constantly on my mind. That's my business. That's what I do. People say get a hobby. I go, yeah, I I got a hobby. I go for a walk. I go to the gym. I go to meetings. You know, I don't have time right now. I don't have time to do these other things, like finding time to go to a lake or do something else. I don't have time for it. It's like we just did this living the dream contest, and something that was great to me is I was sitting there and I'm nervous before it happens. Like I'm there 2 hours early and I'm looking at the clock and I'm just like, oh man, are they going to show up? Are they going to be here? And then you start this contest, and we had like there were 3 guys, man. They were all about the same ethnicity, size, athleticism, everything. And they went on that run, which I think was a little more than a mile, and they all finished like well under 6 minutes, like in the 6:40 area, a couple seconds apart. And I'm like, man, we got ourselves a competition. And there was another guy who was older and he was out of shape. He was a Hmong guy, and I was like, man, we've never had a Hmong guy. And there's been Asians, but we've never like had a Hmong wrestler. I don't even think we get too many Hmong fans. But he was had a very big personality, right? Very big personality. And he did the promo at the end, and he did okay all day. Like he could bump, did the rope bump, but very positive attitude, but he couldn't get the forward roll. So I'm watching this guy, and as everybody's going through the progressions through the next hour and showing him this stuff, everybody in this building, like 30 people, are starting to get invested in this guy with this positive attitude and amazing personality just to get a fucking forward roll. People are like, when he would almost get it, and people were like, ah. And I'm like, man, if he gets this he's gonna pop this place, right? Probably the worst competitor, like physically in shape and athletically, has got us all on his fingertips. And I finally tell him, I'm like, hey man, I hate to be the guy to say this. Imagine if you broke both your ribs and you were trying to suck your own dick or shove your head up your own ass. That's how you got to do this forward roll. And I turned around and everyone's laughing. The guy stands up and like, oh yeah, he's like, suck my own dick, right? And he says that, and everyone's laughing about him. I'm like, what did this guy just say? But at the end, he cuts his promo, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna make you my lunch. It's me. I am Tiger Ching. And he goes, oh, hell, Tiger Ching. And everyone looks around and he says it again. Oh, hell, And then now 30 wrestlers are hitting their hands on the mats, chanting in unison. Oh, hell, Tiger Ching. Oh, hell, Tiger Ching. And he snaps and goes crazy. And it made me realize, it's the Doc Haywood effect, right? What in the fuck is going on here? Here's these other athletes, but their personality is kind of eh. And then here's this guy that you would look at immediately and go, no. But I thought about it and I said, you know what it is? We talk about what's it? There's so many guys who are like, oh, I got it. And I go, no, you don't. And how do I know you don't got it? Because if you got it out there, you young guys, you guys that have been around a long time that ain't made shit for money, you know how you know if you got the it factor? If what you're trying to elicit in the emotion from the boys in the crowd, if you can get every single person in the building, and I mean every single person, from the promoter to everyone, to laugh, to cry, to experience what you're trying to convey in your character or personality, if you can get everybody's behind you on board, you got it. That's what it is. It's some people can utilize that with their in-ring skill. Some people can do it on a microphone in front of that camera. Some people just got it. And I hear people talk about it all the time. And the thing is, this guy had it. It's like, a lot of people don't know Doc Haywood, but Doc's got it. And it made me realize in this thing, there's so many people that come up to me and ask me like, hey, am I still doing this? Am I still doing that? And we had talked about this last night. And it's like, if this is your character, whether your character is just who you are as your name, or if you have a made up name or an extension or a nickname, if you have to come up to me and ask me what you need to say in your interview, what you need to say when the camera's on, if you need me to tell you what your character should do out there as a reaction to your opponent, any of those scenarios, if you need me or somebody else to tell you what your character should do, then maybe you should change your character, and maybe you're just not as good as you think you are.
Absolutely. I think that reminds me of a scenario that we used to do, and that was, and I feel like somebody brought it back from a camp they were at or something like that, and it was like, they went through this whole series of, you know, uh, cut a promo in as Stone Cold Steve Austin, or cut a promo as The Undertaker, going through all these different characters that you see on television. And all these people were able to do that, right? They're able to cut those promos, and then they go, all right, now cut a promo as Mr. Primetime. And it was like you had put no thought into it. Like, what does your character sound like? What does your character say? What are the things that your character does? And that was the exercise. It's like, you need to go home and you got to go, what does my character say? What does my character do? What are the mannerisms? Like, what am I trying to get across? Right. So, you talk about the it factor, and and so many things go into that, right? You think like you have so many people that are like just a physical specimen, and you look at them and you go, oh yeah, that guy's got it, right? And it's like, it's a visual thing, right? He looks like a pro wrestler, and I think that's always, something that people take pride in, right? When you walk into some place and someone says, oh man, you look like you could be a pro wrestler. That's, you get the big smile on your face and you go, okay, so, does that mean that I have the size that I look like I could be big enough to be a pro wrestler? Does that mean I have the presence when I walk into a room that people go, oh, wow, that guy's an entertainer, or that guy's just got, something about him that screams, look at me, or, you can't keep your eyes off of me, or something like that. I'm interesting, right? Or is it the personality? You're talking about this guy that's, not in shape, and you don't look at him and automatically go, pro wrestler doesn't automatically pop into your head. But then when you start listening to the guy talk and the character, and connecting the dots, that's the type of stuff that comes through, and that's what you're looking for, right? You want something that, on your television product, just comes through the screen and grabs your attention, right? Like, I can't turn the channel because this guy's got my attention. I'm interested in what's going on. So I feel like there's so many different pieces of that, where, and obviously few and far between do we see the person that's got all of the attributes that it takes, right? That somebody looks like they look the part, they get in the ring, and they can work around, and they can do what they need to do in the ring, and then they grab the microphone on top of that and they cut a good promo, or they're just engaging, where you're just, wanting to know what the next thing they're going to say is going to be. So, obviously we look for all of those factors, and, we've got our answer the call, very much like you're living the dream. We've got ours coming up here in 2 weeks. So, we're going to be looking for the same type of stuff. We're going to be looking for who stands out, who's got the it factor. We talk about the it factor. So, we're going to be looking for those same type of things when that comes forward here. So, and we're looking forward to that as well. And I thought it was funny that you have a student that's like, I got to get there early. I got to see what's going on here. I got to watch this contest. So that threw me off last night when you were telling me about that. Like, we got to get there early, coach. It's like, for what? It's like, it's just right down the road. It's not that far away. Oh, but they got the contest going on. We got to get there. We got to watch that thing. So, but that's exciting, man. And obviously you never know who's going to show up, and you think about it. And I know you've talked about this in the past, like the people that have won in the past, who's won, who's stuck around. and things like that. It's like, and it's, we go back to if it's free, it doesn't, for some reason, doesn't feel like it has any value. So, hopefully we turn that around and we get somebody who's, just very passionate and wants to do this, wants to give it a go, and is going to put a year's worth of time into it if they win that free training. And hopefully, you not only have that person, but you have a bunch of other people that are vying for that same type of opportunity, and are willing to pay for it as well. So we got a couple of aspects of that, but we're just looking for those people, man, that got that it factor.
Well, I'm excited, and the person we're talking about's excited. He's invested. He's not just invested in this; he's invested in that. He's invested in what you got going on, and I think that's a brilliant idea. I never even thought about. You guys have been doing that for the longest time, doing the pay to train a couple hours before the show, before you opened up the school, and now you're going to do the and when I saw that you guys were doing it before the show, I was like, that's a pretty good idea. We just have so much going on production wise and everything before our show that I couldn't devote the hour to 2 hours of banging around and doing that. But that's a genius idea. New town, win free pro wrestling training. That's going to be a big day. I'm excited about it, and obviously the guys I'm riding with are excited about it. And that's what we have to realize too when we're doing this damn thing and we're putting on this show. You got to look at your show, right? Is it just wrestling matches? And I think I've talked about this before quite a bit, but are you just fielding wrestling matches? Because I've noticed here lately there's been a lot of injuries, right? There's a lot of injuries, and these injuries are happening from like simple stuff. And we talked about the body, Liv Morgan just got injured, and it was like something like a drop toe hold or something. And she just, that shoulder or whatever was just tender and ready to pop out of place anyways. But we talk about these shows, and is it just a wrestling show? Because if it's just a wrestling show you're putting on, cool. You just put on a wrestling show. Like I always tell anybody who would listen, I could go out there and spend all my money on 14 really good wrestlers and put on a really good independent professional wrestling show. But I don't want to just put on a really good independent wrestling show. I want to figure out, how are we going to draw some money? How are we going to get some fans in here? And what is the fan? Well, the fan isn't just the guy who shows up consistently with his family, and then you go, hey, look at this fan right here. We got to keep this fan around. Whatever we have to do to keep this one guy and his family coming in and buying our merchandise and everything, your focus becomes that fan. And we just put out a video for the three-way ladder match, right? And I remember going to my production guy, who's just amazing, by the way. And I don't want to say his name because then people might start hitting him up and harassing him about doing work for him. And a lot of people don't realize too, like the guys that do production and stuff for me, they bitch at me a lot because I'm bringing them a lot of work. So if someone else is bringing them more work on top of what they're already like required, I wouldn't say required, but they've said, this is my responsibility, I'm agreeing to do this, then it's like, hey man, tell that person this is what it's going to cost you. You know what I mean? Like, go make some money off of what you're doing. But I had to tell him, I'm like, hey, you created this promotional video for people who are already watching the shit. Like, if you're a fan of PCW, if you're one of the faithful, you know who Surza and Illumide and Voice are. But if you're just some random person that likes wrestling that's seeing this ad for the first time, or you're just not even a wrestling fan, you're just looking for something to do in the area, and that's what you're building your promotion off of, this three-way ladder match, and you look at it and you go, what is it? Who is it? What's it for? I mean, we got to hammer this. We got to show people, You got to explain. You have to introduce that it's a ladder match. You have to introduce that it's for the Inter-California Championship, and you have to introduce these characters. So it's got to be like the challenger, the former champion, the current champion, nickname, who these guys are. Show them, bring them up a little bit. You have 45 seconds to a minute to not only change these people's opinion of what they're going to do this weekend, but you have 45 seconds to a minute. You actually have 5 to 10 seconds in that minute to catch their fucking eyes so they continue to watch this this promotional video.
Absolutely. And I think that's sometimes we get caught up on thinking that people already know what we're doing. Somebody brought that to my attention with just the RWF, just the letters, right? And someone goes, well, what the fuck does that mean? What is RWF? You know, what is that? You know, you have to give somebody some background, right? And I had somebody hitting me up this weekend that was like, oh, I can make you a logo. And I was like, oh yeah, I would love to see it. Let me know, man, what it looks like. And then they send me a logo that it's like it's an R, and then it looks like it's a W on top of a W, and they're in two different colors, and then the F. And I was like, that looks like RWWF. It's like it looks like a double letter right there. It's like it doesn't say what I want it to say, right? So it's getting over that, and I think it's sometimes it's the ego thing, right? You're like, well, everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows what RWF is. Like, no, everyone doesn't know what that is. You know, you need to incorporate something about what are these letters stand for? What does it mean? You know, what does it represent? You know, like, how are people going to know that this means pro wrestling? And I think a lot of times, you know, you're talking about promotional materials, and, you know, and that doesn't just have to do with, you know, making a video. That has to do with posters and other materials that you're putting out there that, you know, I often tell people, is someone going to walk past this and then come back and look at it a second time because it catches their attention and it gets them interested in whatever they're looking at, right? Is it going to represent professional wrestling, or does it look like it's just a poster with a bunch of faces on it, right? Does it tell the story of what you're trying to get across? Is it going to be a double take moment for these people when they're looking at this promotional material, or is it going to be something that they just, you know, they look at it and they just walk right past it, right? How are you going to get their attention and have this poster or this video scream professional wrestling, and get some new fans? And you made the comment last night about, you know, when you have people, you know, hey, how many tickets did you sell? Oh, well, I sold 6. It's like, this to the same 6 people that you sold to last time. It's like, those people are coming anyway. So let's get out there and let's find some new people, right? Let's walk up to someone at the Walmart and say, hey, you know, are you coming to the pro wrestling show this weekend? Or, hey, you coming to the pro wrestling show in a couple of weeks? You know, those type of questions are going to get those new fans, right? Not just the guy that you're going to go, hey, can I bring you 6 tickets again, like I did last month and the month before and the month before? You know, obviously you love to have those repeat customers, but, you know, at some point those people are probably already going to be there. They've already got it on their calendar. You know, they were at the show before, or they know when the next show's happening. They've already got it penciled in, right? Their schedule is already made for coming to that event. Like, let's see if we can get some new people in the building as well. On top of that's the way that we're going to grow our products. And I don't know how many times I've said, like, especially to the wrestling students, you know, it's like, you got to start getting these fans in the building when you're training, right? Tell these people why you love pro wrestling and why they should come to the show, because eventually if we build this crowd from 50 to 100 to 200 to 500, then maybe when you make your debut, instead of performing in front of 55 fans and then the 10 extra people that you brought for yourself to watch your first wrestling match, maybe we've got 500 people for you to perform in front of on your first your debut show, and then you add those people that you're going to invite personally on top of that. So we have to look at it as we're building this foundation, not just to grow our company in general, but this is going to benefit you when you make your debut down the road, right? If we can grow this audience as large as possible, then when you debut, you get to debut in front of way more people than you would have if we hadn't been building this, the product for the last 6, 12, 18 months. So trying to get that across as well, I think, is super important also.
Well, when you're talking about you exactly 100%, but when you're talking about, you just said it, debut, I see so much young talent coming up that you're already slapping a character on, right? You're already putting them in a gimmick. You're already getting them out there and doing that. And to me, it's like there's so much change early on in somebody. Just throw somebody out there, man. It's like with David, Kid Carson. It's like you're just throwing him out there. He's a jobber right now. And then I've seen him as a little beat up guy for a couple shows now. And now all of a sudden he's out there in like a little cowboy hat and a like mock duster or something. And I'm just sitting here, and it's just he's still getting beat up, but now he's on a microphone talking, and it's just this little gradual change. Because eventually, by next year, if you just keep taking your time with this guy, you're going to get to look back at him and you're going to go, oh shit, when this motherfucker started, he was just this little scrawny guy in like, he had leopard skin generic tights with a black singlet. And now you start to see a little bit at a time. And what I love about it is I always tell them the same thing. I always use Preston Price as an example. I say, hey, just gradually change something about yourself. Just something. Add something. Take something away. Change your fucking shoelaces. Do something, right? So when you get these new kids coming in the business and they start wrestling and they're making their debuts, everybody wants to hammer this character on them, and they want to start doing something with them right away. And then if that doesn't work out, and then they switch it out, or we don't get the experience. Like I remember when I started, Dylan Drake was our ring announcer for like a year. Jekyll's the Jester was referee Joe Rodriguez for a year. Matt Carlos was a referee. AJ Kirsch was a referee for a year working in Angle when he went down to APW with me and was teaming with Nate Rules and Johnny LaRocca as their manager, as Ego. And they had wrestled Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. They had wrestled James Storm and I forgot the other guy's name, in America's Most Wanted. They were the tag team. He was a tag team champion wrestling top tag teams for a year while he was still refereeing for us and building up to an angle where we wanted to use him. I mean, this guy was out there for a year wrestling top tier talent with APW, learning his craft, still refereeing for PCW before we did the angle we were going to do to debut him. So by the time I had debuted my student, he had already gotten all this fucking experience, and he was like a top level talent where you see him now, man. It just became natural for him, and he's learned to make more money off of not wrestling than he does off of professional wrestling. You know what I mean? I was sitting here and I went back and watched like the last season of Tough Enough on Peacock, and I'm watching this thing, and they're asking these guys like just the same thing I asked the kids. I said, are you the next PCW superstar? And we asked all the contestants. I said, hey guys, what do you bring that's going to fill these seats with more fans and keep them coming back? And all I kept hearing from him was, oh, I am this and I'm going to do this. And this is my character, or I love this business. Blah, blah, blah. I love this business. It's my life. No, it's not your life. Shut the fuck up. But I want to know what you're going to do to put those people in the seats. And then here comes the Mong kid, and he showed me what he was going to do to put people in the seats, because what he was doing and the way he started, everybody in the building from Bad News Blakesley to whoever was chanting what he wanted them to chant. And I go, that's what I'm looking for. But we get in these scenarios as promoters or anything where these guys just don't understand. You're like, hey, this is what I want. And then they go out there and they don't do it. And you're like, clearly you don't understand what I want. Well, I was thinking, well, yeah, but go out there and show me what you got, and then I can evaluate you. You know what I mean? Like I have to see what you do first before I know what I can do with you, where I know where you stand in my do you fit into my business, or do you not fit into my business?
Right. You bring up the AJ Kirsch thing about working for a year, high profile company, high profile matches, but still, and I don't know if you would say humble enough or whatever, but to continue to referee in your company, right? And you talk about people wanting to slap a character on you too early rather than just kind of let it play its course a little bit. But do you think that that's a result of you don't think people are going to want to train for a long period of time, so you're trying to rush them into you got a character 6 months into training and you're going to start working as that character? And you know I've seen a lot of things about people winning championships and things like that. And we've kind of had that we've been on the same page as far as you know you come in, you're a squash guy for a little bit, then you work up to getting a little bit of offense and things like that. But I feel like things are sped up so much, like, and obviously a large part of it is because there's so many promotions out there, right? You can get work wherever you want. You can work multiple times in a weekend and things like that. But what is going on with that? Because it's you have these guys that are, yeah, and I mentioned this before, right? You have your debut match, and instead of getting beat up and a way more experienced guy um, impose their will on you, and um, and it's a virtual squash match. You have your first match, and for some reason, it's a competitive match, right? You've trained for 6 months, you trained for a year or whatever it is, and you get into the ring with a guy that's been already wrestling for 10 years. And for some reason, it's a competitive match, right? Like for me, and I know what everyone says. It's like, oh, it's not real. It's choreographed. It's pre-planned, predetermined, all that stuff. Like, stop taking it so seriously, right? But in my mind, it's like someone. And I've made this analogy before. If you just started training to be an MMA fighter, you're not going to have your first fight, and you go in there and go in strategy wise, you're not going to go blow for blow with the guy
Unprepared.
that's what's that?
I said unprepared. I'm just gonna go into this fight unprepared.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you're not going to go into a fight and be on the same level as a 10-year vet, right? It's not going to be like you're bringing something to the table that they've never seen before. It's like they've probably seen everything that already. Like, how is this going to be a competitive matchup if you're a brand new fighter against a guy that's been doing it for 10 years or whatever? So to me, it's like you see all these guys, and I feel like it's giving some of these guys like a false sense of reality. It's like you shouldn't be going into a professional wrestling match as a brand new student and be getting the better of a 10 or 15-year vet, right? That's not realistic.
No.
But for some reason that is absolutely happening, and even to the point where some of these guys are winning championships, you know. And I've always thought about, like, you know, we talk about it as being a prop, but on the other end of that, it's one of those things as a promoter that you go, this guy is established enough, or this guy does enough for the company, or this guy's believable enough for me to put my faith into this person as a draw, right? The champion is supposed to be drawing you money, right? You put this person on your poster, they're on the top of your card. They're bringing in fans to watch the product because they're doing a great job, right? Instead of just going, we need someone to fill this spot, and we'll just put a championship on this guy just because.
Well, West Coast makes great belts, right?
Right.
West Coast lets you live your dream in holding on to a real professional championship belt with stacked plates and beautiful leather. Trust me, I've bought a lot of them off him. I've spent a lot of money with West Coast. He does an amazing job. But, you know, he runs his collectible Stampede thing now, and he's got 50 fucking belts because he can make as many belts as he wants for his own thing. And you get a lot of young guys out there that are holding on to belts. Let me tell you right now, there's the PCW Championship, and then there's the Inter California Championship. If you really look at the lineage, the prestige of the belt in PCW, it's very hard to win the PCW Championship because you have to be around and loyal to this company for a long time. But Matt Carlos, Jody Christopherson, Brian Cage, Chupacabra, you know what I mean? Idris Jackson. Just you look back at the Cal Jack, Carl Fredericks. You look back at the lineage of the Inter California Championship, and you go, man, a lot of amazing guys that have gone on to do big things have held that championship. Why? Because that's the secondary, you know, that is your Intercontinental Championship. That's the championship belt that if you're with the company for a shorter period of time, you're going to win that belt, because we're not just going to put this belt, the main company belt, on you. We want to see where you can go here. And if you can go here and you can still be around, then it'll fluctuate you up to the top championship. If you look at the guys that have won the big championship, a lot of them have never won that belt. But the ones that have won that belt and gone on to win the main belt, that's somebody that you go, man, that's a loyal, reliable guy. And I think it's a sad thing that there's tag team championships around and there's not enough good tag teams to compete for those titles. So, yes, and a lot of these belts, and no offense to anybody, a lot of these belts are not made by West Coast. They're not made by, I don't know if he's still in business, but a Reggie Parks or a Jamar championship belt, which were the premier championship belts when I was coming up. So we're either getting really nice championship belts at an affordable price from a Steven West Coast McCrickert at West Coast Design. What's up, Steve, if you're watching, you know, and guys are winning these really nice championship belts too early, but there's too many of them. Every company has too many of them, right? So nobody knows what they're trying to do with the belt. They just have a belt and they're giving it to a young guy. There's no lineage behind it. There's no reason we're fighting for this belt. It's just a belt that we paid and had made because we had some extra money, and anybody can buy them. You can buy a belt right now that has the fucking Smurfs on them. You know what I mean? You could be like, West Coast, I want a blue leather and I want all the Smurfs on the championship, and I'm going to hang it on my wall in my room. Those used to be prestigious. You used to have to really do it. And now I see a lot of guys running around with belts that they just buy off the internet, or their boxing belts or something like that, or just the ones with the little thin just it's a flat belt with like a edited design on it, and they just have a belt to have a belt. Well, that's cool, man, to have a belt to have a belt, but it's what does this belt mean? You want these guys to want to win a championship. And I know I've talked to a lot of guys over the years, and it's always that Inter California championship. They're like, yeah, I'd love to be the champion of this company, but I think I'd have to be here too long, or I think I have to work for this company for way too long and devote too much time to get this belt. And there's a lot less. That Inter California championship came along halfway through the company, and there is more champions on that belt than there is of the other belt. And the other belt is, to me, is more, but there's a better lineage of guys that have won the Inter California championship, right?
Of course, you know, and I
Talking
would
about it
guarantee
last,
that
huh?
you're. I was going to say, and I would say that that's probably the workhorse championship, just like the intercontinental champion, right?
Still
It's like
means
this
something.
is right. This is the dude that can work, and and they always talked about this is the stepping stone to get to the big title, right? So, um, you know, I wish it was more like that. I wish it was like, obviously, like you're saying, you've got two individual belts, right? Now you've got a couple more, but it's having the one goal for everybody to get to, right? Trying to get to be the heavyweight champion, um or climbing the ladder and getting the intermediate title, as kind of the stepping stone to get where you're trying to get, which is that the heavyweight title. So, but it's for me. Obviously, I wasn't aware that there's a company with a ton of different belts. That makes sense. It's like, okay, now I have to have you know 16 champions because I've got this many belts. Um, so obviously that kind of, I don't know. Like you said, it's like, what are you fighting for? What is this championship? What does this mean? What is the meaning behind the belts in some of these cases?
So many belts. WWE's got so many goddamn belts now. And it's like AEW's main championship belt, their storyline is it's it's in a fucking suction cup case. You know what I mean? Like John Moxley has put the belt in a case because he's saying, I don't want anybody. I'm the champion. It's the name of the championship, but I'm going to put this belt so you don't see the championship, but it's in this case. I'm thinking, motherfucker, you lost it. You know what I mean? Now they got these other two belts and they're going to all in, all out, whatever. I don't fucking, maybe it's all out. I don't know. But they got they are taking the Kenny Omega belt and the Okada belt, and they're combining them, and they introduce the unified whatever fucking championship, and it looks great. But now is that going to be the main championship belt, or is this going to be the main championship belt, which we can't see? And there's so many goddamn titles now that it really doesn't matter. Like you got to have divisions and leagues. It's like the prospect belt is for the young guys. Who's ever got that belt, that's okay. Now we're going to put a little time into this guy and get him ready for the next step. The IC belt, that's that secondary, that's that workhorse championship. And if you can get through that IC title and make it to the main belt, then we go, okay, you got to really work hard for the company to be the champion. And then we got these tag team then there's always tag team championships, and there's always a women's championship. But it doesn't mean there's a good women's division or a good tag team championship division. You know what I mean? And it's like we talk about, I was watching our boy Damian Slater, all the way down under. What's up, Damian? I was watching one of his videos the other day, and we talked about it. It's like he was talking about all those pinfalls at the end, right? The cadence pinfall 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, oh, kick out, and they break apart. It's like, why not end the match that way? Why not have all those pinfalls going on at the end with that 2 cadence, and the guy gets the final pinfall and wins and rolls out of the ring, and people go, "Oh shit, what the fuck just happened?" And we talked about it. Why not hit your finishing move? And I hope people are listening, and I hope they start stealing what I'm saying so that we know you're listening out there. Why not hit the finishing move on the guy? Lateral press cover him 1, 2, and he barely kicks out. And like you tell me it 100 times a day, they dig back in and they reach in and hook a big hook of the leg and the arm pinfall. 1, 2, 3. I hit my finishing move. 1, 2. He barely kicked out. Now I jump back in and I get a deep cover. 1, 2, 3. He doesn't kick out because I didn't beat this guy, even though I hit him with my big move, because I didn't cover him right. So then I covered him right after he kicked out barely, and that's when I got the 3. Oh, we're rolling around and doing all these 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, kick out. I'm Jag or whatever. No, how about 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, got him. It's predictable. Everything's predictable. The training when I go places, it's fucking predictable, man. Sometimes you watch the training when you go to another place and you're just like, what's going on over here? You know what I don't see, and I say it all the time, and I'm hoping that people do it. Everybody gets in the ring and they want to start doing something else. What's the fucking first thing we do when we wrestle? Like in a legitimate wrestling match, what's the first thing we do?
Lock up.
We fucking lock up, right? So why aren't these guys getting a sweat and building their heart rate on a lockup? No, I got to do a headlock. I got to do a tackle. Fucking, hey, everybody get a partner and go lock up and push them in the corner or back up against the ropes, break off, waltz around, warm up, man. Warm up with what you got to do. Do you think the pitcher goes out there and goes, yeah, nah, I got a 100 pitch count tonight. So I'm not going to warm up in the bullpen, because now if I throw 20 pitches in the bullpen, now I only got 80 pitches to throw out there. Well, you're going to stretch out, right? Nope, I'm not. You're going to come to practice, right? I'm going to come to practice and I'm going to put my shit on and I'm going to walk out there and I'm going to touch the rubber on the mound and I'm going to swing my arm around like this, but I'm not going to throw the ball all week. I'm not going to take a cut in the batter's box all week, because I want to save my strength when I get up there so I can knock that one out of the park. It's like, no, you have to warm up. You have to sit you have to play catch first. No pitcher goes in the bullpen and goes out there and he starts just hucking pitches at the catcher. Oh, I'm hucking pitches at the catcher. No, they start out across from each other and they soft toss back and forth, and then they get a little distance, and then when their arms warmed up, then the coach gets them out there and in the bullpen, and they start throwing and building up their speed to pitch. So if I go to watch some training and you're fucking climbing up to the top rope and doing fucking squats, or you're doing fucking headstands and planks and 360 spins and just weird shit that makes no sense to me, I'm like, why the fuck would we even do this shit, right? That's always the end of the show. I start to get aggressive, right? I'm like, why are we doing all this shit at the start of class when we haven't even fucking warmed up yet? And everyone's like, I just want to get in there and practice my match. You want to practice your match? That's what you want to do? You want to practice your match? You know, when you practice your match, I'll tell you, when you're working at a fucking high school fundraiser and you're letting the football coach who knows nothing about professional wrestling get involved so you can sell some fucking tickets at the fundraiser, then you go ahead and have the old football coach come to the training school and practice his match. You don't fucking practice your match, man. That's not going to do a god diggity dang thing for you, man. You want to practice something? Go practice going into the bathroom or locking your bedroom door, putting on your favorite porno, and seeing how long you can last. So when you finally do have sex with somebody, you don't prematurely ejaculate. How about we practice that?
Well, let's go into a crazy space real quick. But no,
I know. I did it on
it's
purpose.
right. I mean, but it's a great point, man. While we only have just these 5 minutes left of this podcast, to get into going to, yeah, just I think that's funny because it just triggered the little memory of the girl that we had training with us that was working on, like, you know, taking a rope bump, you know, and she's like, "Do I have to keep doing this?" It's like, well, snap bump is the one you're going to take the most. So it's really, really important that you know how to do this one extremely well, right? So it's just, do we have to lock up so many times? Like, you're going to lock up every fucking match. So you better be really, really good at this. You might lock up multiple times in a match. You know, it's like, come on, guys. We need to do these things that we're going to be doing on a regular basis the most, you know? I don't know. It's like, you know, you have your baseball analogy, and for me it's like it's a basketball thing, you know. It's like, you know, I've got my, you know, my older daughter that's playing basketball right now, to the point where she gets into the gym, you know, half hour early before practice starts, and she's just shooting the ball from 3 or 4 feet away. And the other day I was rebounding for her, and I said, "Are you just uh, only counting swishes?" You know, because she had made like 10 in a row swishes, and I say, "Do only swishes count?" You know, because it's this progression, right? You first start shooting, and it's like you count everything as long as it goes in the hoop, man. It's that counts, and then you get to the point where it's like it has to go through cleanly, right? If it hits the rim, it's good, but it has to go through cleanly. It can't rattle in there. It can't, you know, barely fall in. Those ones don't count. And then you get to the, you know, where you get really good at it, and then only swishes count, right? It's this progression of working that muscle memory and the things that you're going to do over and over and over. It's like, you know, you need to be able to, you know, shoot the ball from a couple feet away, right? Because the majority of hope, well, I guess it used to be the majority of the points are going to get scored on layups. Now you're going to take 65 3-pointers in a game, um, but that's probably just like pro wrestling, where it's like, oh, I just want to do the cool shit, right? In basketball, all I want to do is the cool shit, right? I just want to shoot threes, and I want to shoot them from as far away as I can, and I want to be Steph Curry and all these things. So, hopefully, we can rein it back in, man, and we can get people to focus on basic stuff, right? Warm up with locking up, you know. So, we'll
I
see
want to
if that
practice my
happens.
match.
That's it,
I'm gonna
man.
practice this thing. Practice makes perfect. Why? That's what we're gonna do over here. We're gonna practice our left wing match. Well, you talk about basketball. I was watching something the other day, and I always say that on here. I was watching something the other day because it hit me. You know, a lot of young guys, man, that are smart in basketball, they go back and watch Michael Jordan when he came out of the fucking office at 40 something to play for the Wizards, because he wasn't the high flying Michael Jordan at that point. He's like,
Right.
"Hey, Kwame Brown, this is how you do it. I'm gonna come out of the old office and put the gear on, the old jersey on," and he's still just as effective. It's just not as many steps and crossovers. He's like, "I know where to be on this play. I know how to open this up, and I know how to create a shot that I want." And that's what wrestling is. How do I create what I want out there with the least amount of steps possible? I heard it the other day, and I thought it was the greatest thing. Someone was saying on the internet, when the bump and feed happens, the baby's in the ring. What do you do to the baby? You feed the baby, right? Like a real life baby, you feed them because they can't move. So they stay stationary, and they're just right there. They're just there. And the heel has to feed the baby, right? Great analogy. I never even thought of it, but it's the truth. It's like, I don't want to move anywhere when you're bumping and feeding or coming back, whether it's singles, you know, tag. You know who's the master at that? Randy fucking Orton, man. So, you know, That's it, man. Quit practicing your matches. Start training. Paul, you got anything? We got 9 seconds.
I don't have anything, man.
For
Closing
you
thought,
out
buddy.
there. For you out there. Get over, go over.